Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella, and we're pleased to be joined by U.S. Representative Michele Bachmann of Minnesota. She serves on the House Financial Services Committee. Welcome to Newsmax, Representative.
Ashley, thank you. It's a delight to be here.
I believe you have some reservations about Barack Obama's $3.5 trillion budget. What are the worst parts of the budget in your view?
I do. The number one thing I'm worried about is the debt load for our generation as well as the subsequent generations. Within 5 years, President Obama's budget will double the national debt. Within 10 years, it will triple the national debt. These are astounding figures, so astounding that President Obama's budget director, Peter Orszag, himself has said this is not a sustainable budget. And of course, we all know President Obama's former Commerce Secretary, Senator Judd Gregg, has also said this budget will bankrupt our country. That's very concerning.
Now, some say Obama's so-called cap and trade, or as your colleague from Tennessee, Michele Bachmann, calls it cap and tax, is very dangerous. Will add over $3,000 a year to the bill of every American for gasoline and energy. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, at minimum, it will add that much. It's very concerning. In Minnesota, for instance, every state will be a little different. In Minnesota, we're probably looking at a doubling of our monthly energy bill, whether it's natural gas or whether it's electricity. And in Minnesota, that's a huge deal, as it is in most states, because in October, we don't have a choice in Minnesota. You have to turn your furnace on, and that furnace will stay on usually through the month of April. If people see a doubling in their monthly energy bill, this will be devastating, especially we're at a time now in my largest city in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I was told last week that our unemployment rate is 9.8%, and Wright County it's 10%. This is, to see a doubling in your energy bill would be very devastating for my people, as well as it's not just that, it's also reducing the American standard of living. I was in a meeting this morning that talked about the potential for job loss in our country. Businessmen are savvy and they're preemptive, and they're looking at what President Obama wants to do with this new tax on energy, because really that's what this is. It's a tax on the right to use and consume energy. As if energy didn't cost enough already, this is a tax on the right to use and consume energy. And what we're very concerned about here as well is that the businesses are already looking at plans to co-locate new business expansion overseas. This will cause a tremendous, what they call leakage, but it's essentially jobs fleeing the United States for other countries. As a matter of fact, you might as well call this the China and India stimulus plan, because China and India have said, hey, we're not going to have any part of a cap and tax trade system. We're not going to do it. So that means American jobs will probably leave and go overseas.
Representative Bachmann, can cap and trade be stopped?
Sure, it can be stopped. If the American people rise up and say, not me, not know how. Senator Reid said that he believes by the end of August we'll see the cap and trade bill go through. That gives the American people little time. That's why I'm sponsoring an event back in my district next week. I want my people in Minnesota to be the most educated people. I want them to be armed with knowledge so they can be dangerous to the policies of the left. We want to make sure that they understand what's at stake for them, because there's very real implications, not just for businessmen, not just for a few Americans, but for 100% of Americans. All Americans will be impacted by this new tax on energy, and we need to be prepared.
Are you concerned at all, Representative, that if this doesn't succeed legislatively, Obama's very, very liberal EPA chief, Carol Browner, will put it in herself unilaterally? Is that a possibility?
I think we need to be vigilant at every turn. There's no question Carol Browner comes from an extremely liberal background. She was involved with a highly controversial organization just prior to her being nominated as the Energy Secretary. As we all know, she formerly worked with President Clinton. Her views are not in the same mainstream as those of the American public, and so we need to continue to watch this. We need to make sure that President Obama does not succeed in passing the new energy tax, but we also need to make sure that his energy secretary doesn't try to bring this in by stealth means.
Minnesota U.S. Representative Michele Bachmann, thanks so much for spending time with Newsmax.
Thank you, Ashley.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.